Okay, so in this problem we have Lisa, who is a diver competing in a diving contest. She must swim to the bottom of the deep pool, grab an item, and bring it back to the surface. So this graph is showing Lisa's dive. For question A, it says that Lisa begins her dive at the edge of the pool, and this has coordinates of points A and 0, 0. So this point right here, A, is the point 0, 0. Describe what the x and the y values of the coordinate represent based on the context of the problem and its position on the curve. Include labels in your explanation. So when this says to describe the x and y values of the coordinate, that's saying what do the x and the y value mean? So if you have this point A, which is 0, 0, well, this first 0 is the x value. The second 0 is the y value. And it's saying to describe what the x value and the y value represent based on the context of this problem. So the x value of 0 means that we have, in this case, 0 seconds. These are the x values going along this left to right, which is time, and we're measuring in seconds. So the x value means 0 seconds. Or you could say 0 seconds have passed. Then the y value, the second 0, we are measuring height with the y value, and we're using feet to measure that. So the y value of 0 means that she has 0 feet in height. So you could say that 0 feet in height is what that second 0 means. It means Lisa has gone 0 feet up or down. So for question B, it says to reach the item, Lisa must swim to the bottom of the pool, which is point B. So that's right here. This is the bottom of the pool. That's where she's grabbing the item. Describe what the x and y values of the coordinate B represent based on the context of the problem. So this question is essentially asking the same thing that question A did, except for in question A it gave us that the point was 0, 0. For B, it's asking us to first find the point. So we need to find point B and then say what those values mean. The point B looks like it is 16 to the right. If you go in this direction, you go 16 to the right, and then it is 16 down. So 16 to the right, that's my x value, so it'd start with 16. And then 16 down would be my y value. That would be negative 16, since we're going down. So point B is the point 16, negative 16. What that means in this context is that 16 seconds into her dive, so after 16 seconds into her dive, she has gone down 16 feet. Where the x value, again, this 16 is the x value, means that she has gone, or 16 seconds have passed. And then this negative 16, which is again our y value, means that she has a height of negative 16 feet. After 16 seconds, she's gone down 16 feet. So she has a height of negative 16 feet. Point C is asking essentially the same thing, or sorry, question C is asking the same thing, but about point C. It says, after getting the item from the bottom of the pool, Lisa must return it to the surface, which is point C. So this point up here is point C. Oops, I need a pen. This point up here is point C. Again, describe what the x and the y values of the coordinate represent based on the context of the problem. So we're going to be finding a point and then saying what those numbers mean. So point C looks like it is 32 seconds into the dive. And then here's where I thought a lot of people get confused when we were doing the study guide. It is 32 seconds, but at this point, it is 0 feet. She's back up to the surface. She's not down still in the pool. She's not above the pool. When she brings it back up to the surface, she would be at 0 feet. I saw a lot of people that put things like 32 or negative 16 for the y value, but the y value is her height. If she's back up to the surface, she has a height of 0 feet. So this would be the point 32, 0, which means 32 seconds have passed, or you could say 32 seconds into the dive. 32 seconds have passed, or 32 seconds into the dive. She has a height of 0 feet. She's back up to the top, so she has a height of 0 feet. Okay. Question D is asking to name the interval where Lee says increasing in height and then decreasing in height. So first off, where she's increasing in height is when she's grabbed the item from the bottom of the pool and then goes up to the surface. So that would be this part of the graph right here, where the tree is going up in height, which is point B to point C. One thing I want you to notice is that this is asking for the x values. You see the x is in the middle of those two symbols. So we're seeing from what x value to what x value is she increasing in height. Well, the x value of point C, the x value of point B is 16. Point B is 16 seconds into her dive. So she starts increasing 16 seconds into her dive. And then she ends her dive after 32 seconds. So from 16 seconds to 32 seconds, remember point B was 16, negative 16. So from 16 seconds to 32 seconds, she's increasing. While when she's decreasing is from the start of her dive until she gets to the item. So from A to B is when she would be decreasing. Well, A starts at, again, 0 seconds. We're looking at the x values, so we're still looking at the seconds. Starts at 0 seconds, and then she gets to the bottom of the pool and grabs the item 16 seconds later. So from 16 seconds to 32 seconds, she's increasing. From 0 seconds to 16 seconds, she is decreasing. Okay, next we are looking at the function's domain and range. So the domain and range, if you notice for the domain, we're looking at the x values. For the range, we're looking at the y values. So the domain is where the x values start and end from left to right. So the furthest to the left that we go, and then the furthest to the right that we go. Well, for this graph, she starts her dive at point A, and she ends her dive at point C. So the furthest to the left that this graph goes is at point A, which is 0 seconds. Because again, for the domain, we're looking at the seconds. And then she ends her dive 32 seconds later. That's where this graph ends, as far as our seconds go. And so from 0 to 32 is the domain, because she starts at 0 seconds and she ends at 32 seconds. Then for the range, we're looking at the y values. So the y values is the height. We always want to start with the lowest it goes and then go up to the highest. So the lowest it goes is at point B, and that has a height of negative 16. So the negative 16 is where that range would start, because that's the lowest it goes. And then the highest it goes is up at either points A or C. They both have the same height when she's back up to the surface of the pool, and that is when she has a height of 0 feet. So the range is from negative 16 to 0 feet. Okay, question F says to draw the line of symmetry on the graph if there is one. So the line of symmetry is a line on the graph that cuts the graph in half, and it is the same on both sides. In this case, this graph does have a line of symmetry, and it is through point B. So it's a vertical line of symmetry that is through point B on this 16 seconds line. So it should be something like this. This would be the line of symmetry. And that is all for this first page.